What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hammer the Heck Out of It. We are back as the two of us. It's not just me running the show this week, so it's going to be a little more entertaining probably because Alex brings the entertainment factor every time, and we're going to get this thing going. The first thing we're going to talk about here, we're going to fill out our Dell Match Play bracket from here on out. The group play is already done. So there was some surprises for sure. Really none bigger than like Billy Horschel coming out of Rom's group, and especially since today was kind of like win or go home for Rom and Horschel's match. It's kind of surprising to see that at least. If Rom won and Fowler won, they were going to be in a playoff together, but Billy won. He just gave Rom no chance to get out of there. And then another one that I saw that was kind of surprising, 59 seed Matt Kuchar. He got out of his group. I love that too because he's the oldest guy in the group by or in the whole tournament. He's like 43 years old. So I love that. It's going to be interesting to see if he can hang with Jason Day. Um, but yeah, Alex, you ready to get into it?
Yeah, I am. I will say, just looking at this, and you just previously mentioned it, a big surprise, obviously, with the Horschel and Rom matchup. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Just from my perspective, I think sometimes, and obviously, you can't compare Rom to just an everyday competitive golfer, but it seems like when guys get in match play events, they sometimes forget to play their own game, and they start hitting shots certain ways based on what your opponent's doing. And I mean, the biggest thing obviously in golf is to remember that there's no defense. So Rom can't control what Horschel's doing. But do you think that was a situation where, I mean, obviously, you know, arguably, one of the best players in the world right now, runs into a buzzsaw in Horschel and, starts forcing shots or, doesn't stick to his game plan. Because I think in a regular stroke play event, we don't see Horschel typically, edging Rom. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, in a weird way, I think match play um, is almost like team sports, like basketball and baseball, because like you're playing against an opponent in that sense. And I mean, it's obvious. It's been obvious for years now that when John Rahm plays against the course, he's pretty good. But I think any time that you're playing a match play, you're so hyper focused on what the other person is doing. Um, you can try to stick to your game plan, but I honestly think the best match play players don't. They react to what their opponent does. And maybe maybe he's gearing up for Augusta, trying shots that he wouldn't typically hit. Maybe he was just not reacting to what Horschel was doing. Horschel played well though. It's not like Rahm just handed it to him.
Mhm.
Um,
That's what I think would be so difficult about a tournament such as this. You know, it's such a pivotal point of the season heading into the first major. It seems like Rom's got to now kind of put this one behind him and forget about it because obviously, like we mentioned, he can't control what Horschel does if he comes out and is, firing and torches the golf course that day. So it'll
yeah,
be interesting to see how he bounces back. But I mean, I'm confident that he will.
I
He'll
think
put this
he's really
behind
good
him.
at that too, like putting things behind. Just like for example, I mean, he did just have to withdraw the last tournament they were playing. Obviously, elevated Players Championship. He didn't want to withdraw. I'm pretty sure he had food poisoning. Um,
Mhm.
that's not ideal. So I think it was good that he got out there, got broke the rust off again a little bit. He's not playing next week in the Valero. Can't blame him there. I don't know if I would go waste the energy playing in that. He's probably going to head to Augusta a week early and get some practice in, I'd say, or just go back home, work on his game a little bit, and then head over. But yeah, I think the players definitely care about this match play. I mean, you look at the bracket of the people that made it out. You've got some really good names. But I think it's also okay for them if they don't make it out of group play, so they can start to gear up for that Masters. But yeah, you want to tackle these matchups. First, we've got world number one Scotty Scheffler and JT Poston. I think that one is kind of like I think it. I don't know about you, but I would lean Scheffler.
Yeah, I don't see any way that the postman I mean, a good player, good putter, but
He can putt.
I
Yeah.
I don't see any way that Scheffler gets knocked out of that one.
I mean, Scotty went to school 2 miles from this course. He obviously
Mhm.
knows the course very well.
Sure.
So yeah, I think we're good if we just lock in Scotty Scheffler here. So I'm gonna go
Hmm.
ahead and do that. Um, but if you look at the next matchup here, this is kind of one that you could see going either way.
This
Matt
really
Kuchar
is.
and Jason Day,
Yeah.
both of which
Um,
both of which have kind of reignited their games a little bit lately. Um, Jason Day more so, but Matt Kuchar, I mean, like I said, he's 43 years old. But so he can still play. It's
mhm.
obvious.
No, yeah, this is definitely a tough one because when you look at this, you want to lean towards a guy like Day, as you mentioned, who's getting back into the swing of things and is trying to continue to climb that mountain of momentum. Um, but then a guy like Kuchar, who's probably not playing with hardly any pressure,
Yeah.
and who's just out there playing his game. I mean, I could see this one going both ways too. I'm gonna defer this one to you.
Okay. Um, I didn't know if I wanted this one, but I it's not like we're gonna have a perfect bracket, obviously.
Mm-mm.
So I'm not real
No.
worried about that in that sense. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Kuchar.
Okay.
I think I think Jason Day's back is fine at this point. I
Mm-hmm.
think the swing changes he's made with Chris Como have significantly improved his physical well-being. Um, but I think Kuchar's like you said, he's got no pressure. He's not necessarily a guy that would feel like he has to gear up for Augusta. Like, no offense to Matt Kuchar, the odds are he's probably not going to win the Masters. Jason Day, if he plays really well, could have a chance. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
he's probably wanting to start to gear up for Augusta. Um, so yeah, I like Kuchar there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good pick. Next, we're going to move to one I don't want to pick, so I hope you will.
Yeah.
Patrick Cantlay and Sam Burns. Cantlay obviously even keel 24/7. You're not going to get in his head in match play. Sam
Mm-mm.
Burns makes every putt he looks at on in North America. So I I'm going to let you kind of take this one if you want and make your pick on this one.
So yeah, I'll let you correct me if I'm wrong here, but and I hate to admit it, but I did not end up checking kind of the final results or where Burns finished that final round at the Valspar, but I don't think he had that great. I mean, I know he made the cut, but I don't think he
His
was
Sunday was pretty good.
okay.
I think he shot 4 or 5 on Sunday
Okay.
under and kind of made his way into the top 20.
Okay. Um Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to change this one for me, and I think I'm going to take Cantley. Even though Sam Burns, as you mentioned, is a great putter, I think Cantley is also a great putter, and just
Oh
his
yeah.
mental, yeah, I mean, I would argue Cantley's maybe even a better putter. I mean, I don't know this, I don't have the statistics, but um, and putting's a huge thing in match play. If you're making your putts, you can just drain the other opponent or the opponent. But so yeah, I'm going to take Cantley in that one.
Okay. I agree. I like that pick. I think Sam Burns is obviously an amazing player too. He plays well in Texas. He won the Charles Schwab down there last year in the playoff with Scotty Scheffler. I remember that. Um, it would be cool to see Scotty and Sam go back to back years, but I don't think that happens here at the match play. I would love to see it happen at Augusta for Sam Burns because I do like Sam Burns a lot. I like his game, but um, yeah, I think Cantlay is definitely the better pick there. Moving on to the next one, we have none other than Twitter king himself, Max Homa. I mean, that's what he used to be, but at this point, he's just Max Homa. He's world top 10, top 5 player. So against Mackenzie Hughes, the Canadian, I personally think that won't be that close of a match. But Mackenzie Hughes does have a short game that could cause Max Homa some problems. He can chip in randomly. People call him the Canadian Jordan Spieth because he just will make par from the trees out of nowhere. But I don't know about you, but I would lean Max Homa here.
I'm good with Homa as well. I think
Yeah.
he's playing great golf, and I mean, unless he finds himself overlooking this match, which I don't see him doing that. I think that'd
No.
be the only way that he'll lose is just by beating himself. So
Yeah, I don't see him doing that either. I think he's mentally just in it 24/7 and he's kind of like a killer. And I think
hmm
this kind of feeds into that a little better, that he can just focus on one player instead of the course. Um, Next here, get that to move out of the way. We've got Billy Horschel and Cam Young. Cam Young has been, I don't know if you've gotten to see much of this event. From what I've gotten to see, he's been throttling his opponents. I mean, like, I know the first day he was through 9 holes, he shot a 27, and one or two of the putts were conceded. So, I mean, he would have shot 29 if it was stroke play at least. He might have shot 28. So it's like he's been playing amazing golf. I will say that he's got the new caddy on the bag, Paul Tesori from Webb Simpson's bag. Um, Horschel's good at match play though, so I don't know what your thoughts are on this match, but
I didn't know that about Cameron Young and how he's played so far in the event. So I was gonna lean towards Horschel just because of how you spoke on he played against Rom, earlier, but um I
I
don't know.
don't
I
mind
think
that.
I
I
don't know
don't.
though. I don't know. I think Horschel maybe I don't know. I think he tapers off. I don't know. I'm leaning towards Cam Young unless you feel strongly the other direction.
No, I don't have a strong side here. I was gonna be good with both. I could see the upset happen,
Mm-hmm.
where Billy Horschel comes out on top because
Mm-hmm.
Billy, I mean, he's a good match play player. So, but
Yeah.
I like the Cam Young pick. I think that's pretty safe bet. I think he's playing really good.
Yeah.
Um, Next matchup here is two guys. I know Kitayama was like the 19 seed overall out of 64. So I mean, he was in Tony Finau's group, played well, got out of it. But Andrew Putnam, he came out of Will Zalatoris' group. Kind of a surprise there. I don't know who you like here, but I kind of like Kurt. I think Kurt battles a lot. He just won API down in
Mm-hmm.
Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just see him as somebody who's never going to give in a match, and I think Kitayama comes out on top here.
No, I'm good. I'm good with that pick as well. I don't know a whole lot about Andrew Putnam's game, but just based on how Kurt has played this season and obviously coming off of a big win, less than a month ago. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that pick.
Okay, and then here we have our next one. We have Rory McIlroy and Lucas Herbert. Um, did you see the video of Rory driving the green on a 375-yard hole?
I actually did not.
It
No.
was yesterday's match, hole 17 down there. He didn't just drive the green; he landed it on the green on a 375-yard hole. So
Yeah.
I don't know what he was complaining about with that TaylorMade driver, but it seems to be working in my eyes. So maybe he made a trip to the kingdom and they figured that out pretty quick. Um, but I like Rory here. I'm
I
not
do as
really
well. I've
gonna.
got nothing else to say about this one. You can go ahead and put Rory in there.
Yeah, that wasn't Lucas Herbert's a good player.
Mm-hmm.
He can hang in there for sure. But okay, here's my upset pick of round one.
Okay.
I think JJ Spawn takes down Xander Schauffele. And
Mm-hmm.
here's why. I think JJ Spawn is one of those players who can just be a flat out nuisance when it comes to match play. He's going to hang in there. Um,
Yeah.
and he's won in Texas. He won
Mm-hmm.
a couple years ago in Texas. He's a great player. I mean, he's probably the most underrated player in this field. So
No, I agree. And if I can just make a hot take here, and kind of call the guy out, JJ, I would just love to see you tuck your shirt in if you could for me,
yeah,
please.
yeah, he's just. I mean, especially, are you good with me picking JJ
I'm
here?
good with it. I'm good with it.
I think we got to have an upset. I don't think
Yeah.
all of the like good players are going to move on.
I just gotta tell you though, just from I mean, just watching the guy play, it just looks sloppy with the untucked. I don't
Yeah,
know if he's trying
I
to do it on purpose or if if he needs a tighter
here's my
belt
thing.
or
I think
what.
it's fine when it's Hawaii, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where I first noticed he did it.
Yeah.
But when you're back over, like not on an island,
Mm-hmm.
maybe just tuck it in. Maybe
Yeah.
just
And maybe he is. Maybe I caught him on that week only. So I
no. I
apologize
no.
if not.
It comes untucked. It comes untucked sometimes.
Okay.
I don't know if that's because he's battling out there or what, but it comes untucked.
Could be. Yeah.
Um, Next, we've got the world number one versus the oldest player in the field. I think this would be a extremely cool match
I think so
because
too.
I think the world would pick Scotty Scheffler here. I would personally lean Scotty Scheffler. I could see
Mm-hmm.
Scotty Scheffler going back to back this week, to
Mm-hmm.
be quite honest.
Yeah.
Um, but so yeah,
Now that we have this match in there, I'm really hoping that that this does come to fruition, that we see this match, because I just think this
it'd
would
be
really be
it would be must see TV.
a good watch. Yeah.
Are you okay with the Scotty pick there?
I'm good with it. Even though, yeah, I think it's gonna. I don't think he would. I think that Kuchar would kind of take him the distance, but
Yeah,
I think Scotty wins maybe in 16 or 17 holes.
I don't think it'd be a runaway at all. No.
Mm-mm,
Um,
mm-mm.
Next match here we've got uh, Goldman Sachs athlete Patrick Cantlay versus Wells Fargo athlete Max Homa. So we got a battle of the two. Just, I mean, both these guys are even keel. You're not going to get in either of their
They
heads.
are. They are.
They both can make. Seems like every 10-foot par putt they ever look at, it's going in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think this match would be fantastic. I'm gonna lean Here, I'm going to lean Max Homa, though. I think he's just recently been playing a little better than Patrick Cantlay overall. Um, but I could be swayed pretty
No,
easily.
no, I agree with you. I think it's Homa as well. I think it's hard to bet against the guy right now.
Oh yeah,
And I mean, just like we mentioned with the Scheffler and Kuchar match, I think this one would be just an absolute grind, and both these guys show no sign of giving up. And I think I could even see this one going, all 18 coming down to the last hole.
yeah. Okay. Next one, we've got the stalwart this week, Cam Young versus Kurt Kitayama. Um,
I mean, this has to be on this list, probably the match that I would be most like the least interested in watching, if I
right,
can say that.
right.
Um, so this is totally up to you. I
Well,
don't have any kind of sway for this one.
let's be real here. I am praying that we don't get a Patrick Cantlay Cameron Young final. No offense to those guys. That would just be the two with maybe the least personality on tour
Yeah.
to match up against each other. I don't know that I would tune in on Sunday, if I'm being
Mm-mm.
honest.
No.
Um,
No.
but I would lean here. I would lean Cam Young. I think
Mm-hmm.
Kurt's a fantastic player. I think Kurt's going to surprise some people for the next year or so because even though he won API, I don't think he's talked about enough. But I would lean Cam Young here.
Mm-hmm. I'm good with it.
Here we've got Rory and JJ Spawn. Um, I think the world would pick Rory here.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I'm interested to see if you want to continue the upset. I know you're a big Rory fan, so
and
I don't
not
see how you do.
not here. No,
Okay.
I would like to. And I do think Rory is full focused on Augusta right now. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think because I mean he's already been over there with Shane Lowry last week, played 54 holes. I've heard through the rumor mill that Rory had one of his 3 18-hole rounds. He had 19 putts. So
Wow. That's
oh,
dangerous if he's doing that.
yeah, I don't know if he missed all 18 greens and chipped it up there to a foot and tapped it in, or
Let's hope
um,
not.
I hope not. But I'm gonna go Rory here. I don't foresee JJ being able to take down the beast that is Roy
This would
McIlroy.
be the one out of those kind of four that we just went over that I could see Rory beating him quickly,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
I can just say that.
I could see like 6 and 5.
Mm-hmm. I
So,
could as well.
um, and if Rory's beating somebody 6 and 5, that means he's putting, which means Augusta better look out because he'd be coming. But
Yeah.
um, Scotty Scheffler, Max Homa. I think like I said a second ago, I could see very easily Scotty Scheffler going back to back this week.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm leaning Max Homa here. It's hard
I'm
for me to.
glad that you say that, because if you were gonna pick Scheffler, I was gonna try to sway you towards Homa, because I
Yeah,
really like Homa in this one.
I love Max Homa. First of all,
Mm-hmm.
like he's definitely one of my top three players on tour to watch and just to listen to. Pretty
Yep.
much I just think he's really good at speaking and he just has a really good outlook on everything.
He really
Um,
does. He does.
but yeah, I'd lean Max Homa. I think Scheffler's obviously the obvious pick, but I could see him going down. Um, Next here we've got Cam Young and Rory McIlroy. Okay, like you said a second ago, Rory is my favorite player. I would say Cam Young here, and here's why.
Okay.
I think Rory McIlroy is not going to exert every bit of energy he has. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
he's full focused on Augusta at this point. Talent alone will carry him through Lucas Herbert, and barring the upset we picked is JJ Spawn.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Cam Young is sad. I mean, it's going to sound bad, but I think Cam Young would care a little more. So I would lean Cam Young there.
Fair point. Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
do you have any intuition to Roy McIlroy winning that one?
No. I mean, I think I would want to lean towards Rory on this one, but I think I'm good with you putting Young in there. I don't want to look too far ahead, but I'm kind of confident, and I think Homa is going to be able to take down either one of them. So I don't want to
Yeah.
look too far ahead, but you can. I'm good with you taking Young.
Okay. Then I'm gonna pick the upset there. Even though
Mm-hmm.
Cam Young is a world class player, it's not necessarily an upset. But
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
first I want to cover. I'm gonna put it up here. Third place match because they always play a third place match. This
Okay.
one would be one that I think more people would tune in for. Scotty Scheffler
Yeah.
and Rory McIlroy.
I agree. I agree.
Sadly, they would probably have more of a following out at Austin Country Club that day than the championship match.
Yeah.
Um, I would lean Scotty there, and
Mm-hmm.
that's only
Yeah.
because I think Scotty's a better putter. I think he's
Yep.
never out of a hole. So,
Mm-hmm.
are you good with that one?
I am. Yeah.
Okay, and then get to our championship match. We have Max Homa and Cam Young. You've already mentioned it. You think Homa
Yeah.
would take him down, and I do as well.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really need to talk about that one too much. Just Max Homa is an amazing golfer, and
Yeah. When I first looked at this kind of bracket that you've outlaid here, that Homa was going to be my pick.
mhm.
It's interesting though, looking at his kind of bracket that he comes out of.
Oh my gosh.
I would say would be much tougher than
Oh
what
yeah.
Cam Young had
Scotty's
to get
brackets.
through.
Scotty's bracket would probably be the second easiest, solely
Sure.
because if the upset we pick doesn't happen, Rory's going to have to go through Xander Schauffele if he gets
Which
through Lucas Herbert,
which
which
is a
wouldn't be
tough one.
easy.
Yeah, correct.
So yeah,
Correct.
I
But
think.
looking at Homa's with I mean the Burns and Cantley is a tough first match because those are two guys that you
Oh
think
my gosh.
neither of them should probably be going home that early, but um
Yeah.
with those
Yeah.
three guys in that little section of the bracket, Cantley, Burns, and Homa, it's hard to think that, you know, one of those guys won't hoist the trophy at the end of the week. So,
All right. And before we get off this bracket, I want to ask you if you had to pick one guy that isn't Scheffler, Cantlay, Burns, Homa, Schauffele, McElroy, and Young to make a deep run here to get to the final four, who would be
okay,
your pick?
it would have to be Kuchar probably. It'd
I
have to
could
probably
see
be Matt
that.
Kuchar.
I would
Yeah,
love that actually.
because
The guy
I could see
puts.
Kuchar beating Scheffler as much as I hate to say it, because then I still have my eventual champion is the same way. I think Homa then would beat Kuchar in the final four. Um, but I could see Kuchar getting through day, and then if he puts well against Scheffler, and Scheffler has somewhat of an off day, I mean, he doesn't even have to have that bad of a day. Kuchar can drop a few putts in on him early and get up early. I think Kuchar could. He's going to be playing so freely, as we mentioned earlier, that I wouldn't be surprised. But
Yeah,
I'll throw that same question back at you. Did you have anybody in mind that you wanted to call out?
well, I mentioned first round upset JJ Spawn, but or not first round, well, first round of match play, but I don't think JJ would have that great of a chance to get to the final four. So even if he gets through Schauffele, I think he's going to have to go through Rory, and I think that would be tough. So my pick to get to the final four out of not of the out of the top 15 players in the world that are still there would be Billy Horschel. Because I think if he can get through Cam Young, even though Cam Young's hitting it on a string, um, Billy Horschel could beat Putnam or Kitayama. So I think he would have a good route, I think. Um, but yeah, we that's our picks. Max Homa,
I'm
match
pretty
play
confident in
champion.
it too. Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, if we end up with a perfect bracket, I will be extremely happy. Anything less will probably be an extreme disappointment, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay that if we don't have a perfect bracket, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, so now let's kick it back into just us. No more screen share. We're going to talk about our second thing tonight, and that's going to be the USGA local rule of rolling the golf ball back. Now, admittedly, me and Alex both haven't read enough on this, but we kind of want to talk about it in the sense of if we think the PGA Tour will adapt this rule. Since it's just a
Mm-hmm.
local rule, the USGA and RNA came up with, it appears to me that the Open and the US Open would be where they would do this. Um, I don't I don't necessarily love it, and I don't know if that's an uneducated take. I think it's cool that guys can hit it 350 yards. I don't know why you wouldn't want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I get it in the sense that like courses like Marion or old country club courses that they used to host the US Open at a lot and don't necessarily anymore. They don't really withstand today's distance. But no, I don't know your take. But I don't think the PGA Tour will adapt this rule. I think they want to keep their fans interested, and particularly with the threat of live golf, that they would not make that decision. I would hope not, but I don't think they will.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you said. And just to circle back, yeah, I haven't really read enough. I definitely think this is an interesting topic that we can maybe continue, to speak on as more, because I'm sure more information is going to come out and more kind of news articles will follow in the coming months. I think it's interesting to get our perspectives from this as well. Um, I don't think either of us are particularly that long of drivers of the golf ball. At least I can speak of myself.
No, I'm
My my
way
my
shorter than you, so
but yeah, for people listening that know my game, it's very much a 250, 260 knock. Hopefully it'll roll out 10 or 20 yards. Um and the name of the game is to find fairways. And I think you know, I think that a lot of people, scared's not the right word, but they get kind of, I don't know, frustrated when you see guys taking events super low. I know, out in Hawaii we see guys 30 on, they're 8 under, 9 under around sometimes out
mhm,
there. And it's like if distance is the true being able to reach par fives so easily in two. So if distance is the true culprit of that, I'm right there with you that I don't think it's a bad thing. That guys are hitting it, 330, 340 plus rollout. I think it's truthfully just back to the way golf courses are set up. And I think certain golf courses can be set up fast and firm. And if the course has the ability to do it, to make the greens super tricky and super tough, then you're not going to see these scores that low. I don't think that
mhm.
guys are going to be able to just dismantle golf courses. And I think we've seen it with tough setups. So I don't like it. And from my perspective, as somebody who's always been an advocate of growing the game, I think when you bring young players and young fans out to events, or even when you sit a kid in front of a TV and a kid watches his first event or first starts watching golf, the first thing they're going to be attracted to is how far a guy's going to hit the ball. They're probably not going to be in awe of how good of an iron player a guy is or how many putts he's making around. So to grow the game, I think this is the worst move that the PGA Tour can implement. And truthfully, I'm not quite sure. I mean, like I said, maybe it's a premature take from me, but I don't think that the USGA should be doing this. So that's
Yeah.
my take on it.
Well,
Um,
if you kind of look at it at a different angle, I wonder if you agree with me here. Would rolling the ball back not feed into the players that hit it farther even more? You know what I mean? Like if a guy
Correct.
hits
Yeah.
it on average 270, 280 already, that's going to end up 250, 260.
Hmm.
He's going to have 350 yards into par fives in US Opens.
Sure.
So what I don't know it I
I
just
think it would be frustrating as well. Sorry to cut you off there, but I
no,
think it
you're
would be
good.
frustrating as well to courses that have made it an effort to like stretch
Right.
their
Augusta.
properties and their grounds. Um, we saw it over the summer at a golf course at Pete Dye's French Lick. I see it at a course that we get to travel to for college golf. It was the final stage of web.com Q School. I don't know if it's carried over to Corn Ferry Q School, but Kinderloo Forest in Valdosta, Georgia, the tips play about 7,800 yards out there. And I think a distance rollback is going to just make those tees almost completely irrelevant because it's already such a deep golf course. You're never going to be able to play it from that far. So it's almost kind of like a slap in the face to course designers that have been able to take such good land and create 650-yard par fives and 500-yard par fours, par threes that play 260, 250, 260. So, I guess that's a not so simple solution because many courses don't have that access to that much land. But for the courses that do, maybe look to those courses then to start hosting some of these events if you're afraid of guys hitting too many wedges into greens or reaching too many par fives and making too many eagles and birdies on par fives and short holes.
Well, right there, pretty much in your backyard down at school, is Copperhead, which I know you've played a ton.
Correct.
That course is not overly long, correct me if I'm wrong. I
No.
think it's like 7,100 when they played
Mm-hmm.
on tour. Par
Yep.
70 though, but I believe. But it's like
Yeah.
that course no one sees 20 under. It's
Mm-mm.
it's 500 yards shorter than some of the courses they play in the US Open.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me what like from your perspective, what does that course have that is its defense, and why would they not just implement that at other courses?
So, I believe I heard, and I didn't get a chance to go over there this year, but I've heard that Innisbrook just does a great job of getting those greens pretty tripped out and pretty quick. And I'm sure being here in Florida, obviously, they can place the pins in spots where if you have a putt or a chip that's down green and downhill, it's going to be impossible to stop. So I think missing, and it looked like that rough was pretty grown up. So missing a green, it didn't seem like the up and downs are all that easy. But just from my perspective, yeah, it's a short golf course, but I mean, each hole is mentally like demanding. You have to put a good ball out there off the tee, whether you're hitting a driver or an iron, and I'm sure many of the pros are hitting irons on probably a fourth of the holes, less than driver, an iron or a 3-wood. But that is an interesting question for sure. Um,
Yeah, I just think, I mean, certain parts of the country, you're going to get more wind, you're going to get
mhm,
more conditions like that are going to help make the golf course harder. Like you look at a Pebble Beach or a Torrey Pines, it's over on the California coast.
mhm,
They get a lot of wind typically. Um, you look at courses in Florida, everyone always talks about every year how at least one of those tournaments there's a AM PM wave advantage because that Thursday afternoon or something it blows 25 miles an hour and takes guys out of the tournament. Um,
mhm,
I think if you put 7,000 yard courses like Pebble or like Copperhead or anything like that, in the right areas of the country and with the right weather, I don't think you need to roll the ball back at all. I think they
mhm,
are going to play
mhm.
hard no matter what you do.
I think it's interesting too because I just think it's such an immature take that driving distance is going to equate to like success, like definite success. I definitely
Right.
think that there's the fine line of you've got to hit a certain distance to be successful on tour. But I mean, we saw Bryson overpowering or at least attempting to, and guys who were chipping and putting or wedging it better than him were still able to beat him. So,
Well, I tell you what, I think Bryson's US Open win might be where this started. Like
mhm,
him winning at Winged Foot by 5 shots or whatever he won by.
sure.
I think that was where the USGA was like, okay, like we need to do something because that
Mhm,
wasn't fair, so to speak. But in reality,
no.
if every golfer wanted to, they could do what Bryson did.
Sure. And I
You
don't know that
just
we'll see that again where a
no.
player like him makes that transformation, but is also such an analytical player that this is probably a guy that had that golf course mapped out I mean, obviously because it's a major, but just several months in advance. And he had a totally different game plan going in there than what other guys were going to try to do.
And
And
I don't want to bash on Bryson at all here. I think Bryson is this is on my honest take is that in our generation right now, he might be the most polarizing player that we have. And I think that he helps grow the game more than 99% of golfers.
Mhm.
But what has it done for his career? Yes, he won the US Open,
Mhm.
but you look at where he's at now, not just because he signed with Live Golf, but he hasn't even sniffed a good finish in a Live Golf tournament.
No.
I mean, this guy is finishing 45th out of 48 players over in Tucson. And at one point, that guy was 20 to 1 to win on the PGA Tour every week. Like, he's,
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know. I
I think
think
he's
that
just trying to get into too many different areas of the
yeah,
game, is my kind of opinion.
but yeah, I don't want to harp on that too much. But yeah,
Mhm.
I could see if Live Golf falls apart, Bryson just retires from golf and does YouTube full time or
It
something.
becomes a content creator. Yeah. Because I was
Yeah,
going to say, you don't see these other guys that are in
or
contention each
World Long
week.
Driver.
Sure. You don't see these other guys that are constantly in contention each week on the tour, filming YouTube videos and posting. And I'm not saying not knocking Bryson for doing that, because I think it's great. It grows the game. It shows you like a behind the scenes factor, but it just seems like his focus is not entirely on like how he's performing, which is fine. Not to knock the guy. I think he's doing, like I mentioned, great things for the game. So, um,
Man,
but
but when
yeah,
it was, golf was at such a good place. I just remember that I will never forget that Masters year. I believe it was the one Tiger won, 2019 maybe, when
okay.
Bryson said this is like a par 67 for me.
Yeah, I do remember this.
That was like the most outrageous quote I've ever heard in my life.
And you gotta give me a second to pull up what he shot, because I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he made the cut that week.
I don't think he shot even par either day.
Was it
I,
2019? You said?
I think so. Maybe 2021. I don't
I,
know.
I think you're right though that he was over that he was over par.
Yeah, I know he didn't make the cut for sure because it was a big meme, and like I honestly felt bad for the guy because I, in a weird way, I got what he was saying. Like in his
Mm-hmm.
mind, he was looking at the course as a par 67 because there were before they lengthened, 13, 11, and 15. There were gettable holes out there that he should be making birdie or eagle every time.
Yeah.
So I did get what he was saying, but it was like, you know how Bryson is. It was given off on the wrong vibe.
Yeah. I'm trying to pull up what he shot. I do remember hearing that too, and I just thought I thought other than just respecting him for saying that, just respecting his confidence, I think it was pretty comical though to say that on such a it's just a challenging. I mean, obviously, just a historically such a grueling golf course for him to say that's
And
pretty interesting.
he's never quite seemed to perform like he's kind of got it figured out at all. So
No,
he's kind of struggled around there every time.
yeah,
Okay, I do now that we're talking about the Masters,
hmm
I want to tap into one more thing here. How do you think the Champions Dinner is going to go this year? Because all the
okay,
live guys have gotten invited back.
yeah,
And there's been some lawsuits, not naming any names, Patrick Reed.
hmm
Um, and he's sued some guys on the tour that will be at that champions dinner. Phil has been very outspoken about other guys that will be at that champions dinner. And I
hmm
don't know if you saw it, but I believe Fred Couples called Phil a nutbag last week, and so they will both be there. I'm hoping personally that night is all about Scotty Scheffler and they don't act like children and they
yeah,
put their differences to the side. It doesn't matter what tour you play on, you're all Masters champions, just act like it.
sure,
But it is kind of funny. It would be flat out hilarious if you just get like a report on Twitter that's like an ambulance is headed to Augusta National after the Champions Dinner or something because like I don't know like
hmm
Gary Player or something just like punches Phil in the face or something. It would be pretty funny, but I hope they act like adults personally.
no, yeah. To me, I think a lot of these guys, which I could be wrong totally if we see something happen, which I hope it does, and I agree with you. I think a lot of these guys like to just make comments behind their phones or behind their devices, and then they get into the actual setting, and there won't be any conflict. I think everybody's pretty professional when it comes to
Well,
that. But
yeah,
that is definitely interesting. Just a ton of characters in the same room, in the same breaking bread together, quite literally. So
yeah.
um it'll be interesting to see. I don't know how that works. I'm not educated on if there's like assigned seating or how it works. If it's open, if you can sit where you wish.
I believe it's open, but everyone kind of sits in the same spot every year. If that
Okay.
makes sense, it's kind of like so and so
Yeah.
sits with so and so
I was
every
gonna
year.
say, because could this turn into like like a middle school lunchroom situation where you've got the live guys over here and then the PJ Tour guys over here, and there's just that divide in the middle of
That's
like,
what
this friend group's not with this one. So
I was
it's
listening to the Foreplay podcast this week, and they were kind of touching on it a little bit. And that's what I don't know if it was Frankie or if it was Riggs. He said
mhm,
that he said that pretty much same thing. It's going to be like middle school cliques. Everybody's
yeah.
standing around in a circle talking about the clique next to them, and it's like
Hmm.
I don't know. I I feel bad for Scotty at this point because it's like I'm sure he's excited. I'm sure he's like wanting to do it, but at this point, like I would just be like, I don't know. Do I even have to really go to this? Like,
Yeah,
can I just go at home?
for sure. No,
But
yeah, I agree with you. I think it'll be interesting to see what comes of that or what happens. So,
all right,
um,
yeah. Lastly, before we get off here, I do want to ask you: has your pick for the Masters changed?
um,
Is it still
can you?
Rory McIlroy?
Yeah, it is. It definitely still is, actually. I was
I'm
gonna say,
I'm
can you remind me who my pick is? Because it's Rory still. I
it's
love Rory.
Rory.
I think it's
I'm
Rory.
I'm sticking with Spieth. It'd be
Okay.
very easy for me to say Scotty goes back to back or Rom, but I'm sticking with
Mm-hmm.
Spieth.
Yeah.
I think he's
Um,
polarizing, and I think this year he does it again.
I really wanted to see Spieth get a win at the Valspar, but
Oh, he's
it's
so
I think it's a
close.
I think it's a good sign that he's challenging. I was gonna say for sure. Um,
Yeah.
if I
It was
can
cool
kind
to
of
see
close it
Taylor
off.
Moore.
Sorry.
It was cool to see Taylor Moore win.
Well,
First
that is
PGA
cool.
Tour win.
That is cool. And I think that just speaks of his game because, like we previously mentioned, I mean, that's a challenging golf course. So for him to get around there in 4 rounds, um, and I mean, that 10 under has to be probably one of the higher in the previous years. Typically, when I
Yeah.
when I watch that event, I figure if you can get from anywhere from 15 to 20 under, you're going to have a pretty good chance. Just about 4 to 5 under a day seems like you're going to have a chance to challenge there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if I can kind of close it off with this, I was going to share something funny that I saw on Twitter the other day.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I want to shout out this account. I don't know who this is exactly. It looks like she works for golf.com, Claire Rogers.
yeah. Okay,
Uh
yeah, I've
pulled
seen her.
okay, pulled up an old tweet, and she said, "I am once again thinking about the bride who scheduled her wedding for Masters weekend in Augusta, Georgia." And the tweet is this: the woman's name has been X'd out, but it was February 16th, and I don't have a year on it. Maybe it could be this year, I guess. I'm not quite sure, but it says, "OMG, I need advice. I just found out that the same weekend we have already scheduled the venue and DJ for, which can't be changed, is the same weekend that there's the big quote Masters golf tournament in the area I live in." And then she's got in parentheses Augusta, Georgia. "I'm not from here, so I never would have thought about that. The hotels are $800 a night, and we have a lot of out of state people coming. What do I do now?" And for someone who is soon to be married, if I can speak on some of your personal life, Jacob, I just want to hear what you would do. I mean, obviously, you'd never get yourself into a situation such as this, but what do you think you would do in this situation? She says she can't,
Um,
she's got the venue and the DJ booked, and it can't be changed. So that's probably a non refundable issue there.
well,
And rooms are 800 a night in Augusta, Georgia, and she's got her wedding booked the same weekend as the Masters.
well, first of all, shame on the venue for doing that because
Hmm.
they had to have known and they did it anyways. But if I was in that position, I would be looking at cities an hour and a half away and say, I'm sorry that you will have to make that drive the day of, but those hotel prices are probably like 200 bucks, 250
Hmm.
instead. So you'd save all your gas money doing that. Um, but yeah, I don't know because you said in that tweet she said that she lived in Augusta, but she's not from there.
It's pretty interesting, yeah. She
I
says
think
I
if
live
you
in the area that I live in, which is Augusta, Georgia. I'm not from here, so she's not from there, but I guess she currently resides there.
I feel like if you are in Augusta for longer than 15 minutes, you'll see something about the Masters somewhere, like maybe a
Hmm.
billboard or something. So I'm shocked that she didn't know. Um, but yeah, that's not ideal at all.
Yeah.
It's hilarious that she put the Masters tournament in quotes, like saying
Mhm.
like this is what it's called. Like, yeah, we know what the Masters tournament is.
Yeah. And then it's
That's
quite interesting to look. I don't want to, speak too much on or go too much into this, but the sub or whoever, her Facebook friends or people who are kind of offering advice underneath, one of her friends um says, "Yikes, the Masters is like the Super Bowl of golf." And then so she compares the Masters to the Super Bowl of golf. And then just goes on to speak on how this person's fiance is a huge golf fan, said the traffic will be crazy. I'd do everything to change the wedding date or location. Things will be insane. So I don't know. Like I
I
said, I don't
know.
know if this doesn't look like this was this year. This looks like this was um a couple, or this looks like this was a year or two ago. So it'll be.
Well,
I don't know. I'd be interested to see how
I
that played out.
know. I think our venue is not refundable, but I think you can change the date if you need to. I don't
Okay,
know. Hopefully they got in that situation and the venue allowed them to change the date.
sure.
But that's funny. That's hilarious, actually.
Yeah.
That would be like booking, I don't know, Daytona for the Daytona 500 or something and
Mm-hmm.
expecting it to be calm, or
Yeah.
Indy for the Indy 500 or
And then you go
something.
to book your hotel for all your guests, and you're realizing it's nearly $1,000 for for a room.
She might just check on RV prices and everybody just rent an RV.
That's true.
That might be cheaper. Camp out at a campground or something, but
Yeah,
that is not ideal.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
So,
Alex, I'm glad we got back together this week.
yep.
Next
Let
week,
me give a shout out to Jacob too for holding down the pod while I've been gone. He's doing a great job. I thoroughly enjoyed our last guest, David Ford. So I'm sorry I couldn't be a part of that one, but Jacob did an awesome job with that. So if you haven't checked that one out, which I'm sure you have, go listen to it,
yeah, go
please.
check it out. Go hit the sub button. All that. Make sure your notifications are turned on. You know what to do. Um, but next week, we'll be back here and we will go more in depth with our Masters preview and kind of break down all the players in the field. Go through maybe not all of them. Like we don't need to break down Sandy Lyle, no offense, or some of the other guys, but
Yeah.
we'll break down players in the field and we'll go through who we think could contend. We'll go through Masters stories, all that stuff. So we'll break it down, have a full Masters episode. If you made it this far, we appreciate it greatly. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next week.
Yeah.